Welcome to the Leadbeam Legends podcast, where we bring together the sharpest go-to-market minds in restaurant tech and POS. I'm your host, Gabe Naviasky, the co-founder of Leadbeam, the #1 AI-powered field sales platform for POS and restaurant tech businesses. Each episode, we dig into the best leaders in building and scaling in one of the fastest moving industries, and that's restaurant tech. Today, I want to introduce Andy Benham, the Australian country manager over at Supy, a restaurant technology company building the operating system for your restaurant back office. He was previously leading partnerships at Lightspeed Commerce, one of the fastest growing POS companies in the world. Andy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Gabe. Nice to be here.
I'm excited for this. My first question is, you've been on the front lines, selling for over a decade now. You've sold into pharmacies, you've sold into veterinarians, you've sold into restaurants. What's the single biggest difference when you think about the psychology of the SMB operators today versus when you started selling 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's funny because I have been in this game 10 years now. Um, I got my first pseudo sales gig about 10 years ago today. And at the time, it was with an e-commerce platform that then pushed in towards pharmacy, which is what you alluded to. And back in those days, we were a specialized e-commerce platform. And in those days, you're up against these all-in-one suites that do everything. They do point of sale, they do websites, they do e-commerce, they do inventory, they do everything. And I think over the last, 5 years in particular, as APIs have improved and the connection between software has improved, that you have these specialized tools for certain functions of a business. And it's less so about, going to a provider that just does everything. And often they don't do everything well. There might be one core function like a POS that does point of sale really well, but their inventory's okay.
Yep.
But it's not great. And what we're seeing now is these specialized solutions, like inventory, like e-commerce websites, like, online ordering and things, being very distinct, very powerful, but they connect well together. So that's sort of what I've seen the last 10 years or so.
Got it. So I guess it might be helpful. Back when you were selling in the e-commerce space, what was that sales process like? And then how does that differ from when you were leading partnerships at Lightspeed and then into Supy today?
Back in those days, we were really selling to smaller operators.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, sometimes, mum and pop businesses, sometimes, recent mums who've started to sell online. And, those are, they can be quite time poor in those scenarios, particularly if they're running their own business. Typically one decision maker, it's just them that decide if they want to go ahead. And they want speed, they want simplicity, they don't want to think about it much, and they want to put the cognitive load over to the technology or the software provider. Whereas if I think about, even where I am now, we work with groups with dozens of locations. They have, sometimes conflicting priorities of what they want to do, the stakeholders in the business. And for us, it's trying to bring that all together, create some coordination between all decision makers. And then you're having to do multiple demos, different groups of people, and it's a much longer process.
Right.
So that's probably what I've seen, which is for me has been a bit of a shift in learning. Probably the biggest thing I've learned, particularly moving to multi-site, is you're dealing with in the buying process, you're dealing with someone quite different who then implements the product. So one of the things I've learned is you want to bring the person who's implementing the product in earlier in the conversation.
Right.
So they're not just handball this product that they buy by the CEO or the CFO, which is a bit of a shift than just one person that makes the decision and then puts in the product.
Got it. So if I'm hearing it correctly, if you're selling to a single location, they want speed, simplicity. It's and then
Yeah.
from a sales process, they also want speed, simplicity. You're dealing with the one decision maker, you get it in, you get it done. Versus when you're working multi locations, it's much more about how do you get everybody to beat the drum. You have multiple stakeholders, and even if you might have multiple stakeholders, and all of those stakeholders might not even be the one who's implementing it. And making sure the person who's implementing the software, the solution, is brought in earlier so that they have context into why are we actually doing this? Why is this important? How can we help make the overall restaurant experience more efficient?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what I'm hearing there?
Yeah. Yeah. And even I go a step further where, the single operator, they're doing everything. And, they don't want to spend too much time maintaining the product. Whereas now we work with some customers who have 1, 2, 3 people working full time managing our product. Like obviously the software is doing a lot of the work for them. They've come from spreadsheets, but it's very different to a single operator where they just want the software in the back to
Right.
to solve all their problems. So it's quite a different structure.
Yeah, so most of the people I've brought on this podcast are focused mostly on, sales specifically, go to market. You have a really interesting background, actually, which you're doing partnerships at Lightspeed. And then I see at Supy, am I saying that right? Is it Supy?
Yeah, Suppy. We generally
Suppy.
say Suppy,
Okay.
but
So, and then at Suppy, I see you on LinkedIn. You're partnering with multiple different companies. Tell me how you think about partnerships as a whole. What makes a good partner program? And then how do you make sure that it's not distracting from some of the other go-to-market strategies within the business?
yeah, I mean, partnerships is an interesting one because it doesn't always get the love that it deserves. And my journey with partnerships is more. I mean, I stumbled into it. I never, went into wanting to be in partnerships or being a partnerships manager or running partnership programs. Um, I really did it out of necessity. Um, the business I work in New Zealand, we launched into a new market. We launched into Australia, and the most successful means to launching in this new market was partnerships because we built trust with a really well aligned partner. They opened us up to all of their customers, and we managed to secure a lot of customers very quickly through recommendations from that partner. And if we were needing to cold call people, it would have taken us a shitload longer to get to where we needed to be. So then I thought, well, there's real opportunity in partnerships. In this role at Lightspeed came up, which I jumped at, and Lightspeed had a much more like there was a lot going at Lightspeed when it came to partnerships. It was still a little bit nascent, but they had some good structure, and yeah, I learned a lot from that journey. And particularly in partnerships, it's trust, right? So you've got two businesses who are targeting a similar segment, so
Hmm.
you're focused on the same ideal customer. That's generally the way you want to partner with someone, and usually it's a business that it's a complementary product, right? You don't want to have too much competing elements. It's a product that they don't really provide their customers that you're helping them with. Um,
How
yeah.
important
Sorry, you were
is
going to
it?
say?
Yeah, how important is it to pick the right partners? And how do you go about determining if it's a partner that works for your business or if it's a partner that might actually be cannibalizing some of your product and you're actually getting the low end of the bargain?
Yeah, I mean, I can be pretty meticulous when I go through this process. But I mean, ideally, you want to like say take your top 5, 10 customers that you work with, and then you even ask them, what are all the different, say, software products or businesses that you work with most days. So then you kind of get an understanding of all the different business, the web of software businesses, whether that be point of sale, accounting, whether that even, it could be the cleaner, whoever it is, and then understand all those different businesses. And then the second thing is, well, I mean, is there any joint value between those two businesses? So like point of sale and inventory, very, it's a very complementary couple. Whereas, maybe point of sale and a cleaning business, probably not the best, you know, the best go-to-market motion could be made with that. But those are the way I would probably look at it. And then, you can get really nitpicky.
Got it. That that definitely makes sense. So you want to find a complementary partner where you're both not doing the same things and you're instead, both mutually benefiting from it. I think that's the definition of any good partnership. So
Yep.
I hear you there. Now you for most of your career have focused specifically in New Zealand, Australia, where you're based today. Um, how do you feel like the market there differs from, I'm based in New York. Like I have a very like US centric approach to my sales motion. I've always been based in New York. How do you think Australia differs from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Australia is typically used as a bit of a test bed for a lot of tech companies. You'll see Facebook might test a new feature in Australia. Uber might do the same. You also seen this at the moment with Tesla. They've just released, full self-driving, and it's the first country outside of the US is Australia and New Zealand.
Mm,
Um, so it's a really good market to test things because we're pretty diverse. It's a decent sized market as well. Like particularly in hospitality, you've got lots of chains. But look, I don't think there's anything really different. It's just when you're, say, a global business that launches in Australia, you've really got to invest in the team. Like
mm,
you can't just parachute an executive in and then expect to be successful. You need to back it up with, quality salespeople, quality support, quality implementation, and you got to be here for the long run. Like I even remember a partner of Lightspeed's, a few years ago tried to enter into the market. They dropped one person in. It was a really good product. And then they sold a few customers and all the support was done remotely. All the implementation was done remotely. And it just failed because they just assumed they could support the market from the US. Uh, so that's probably the big thing. And the time zone is challenging. Where you're probably a little bit late for you at the moment. And for me, it's quite early. It's 8 in the morning. So supporting this market remotely is bloody challenging. So, that would be the first thing. And then, you got to emphasize, you got to know if there's a drought up in Queensland and you can't get your fruit and vegetables at a good price, having someone on the phone that understands that, it's pretty powerful when you're selling them an inventory product. Um, so yeah, that would probably be my view and for Australia in particular.
there's a couple of areas that I want to hit in on. First, you mentioned the people, finding quality salespeople, quality support people, making sure that you have a team there that really feels like they're supported because, a good culture is going to drive the outcomes you're looking for a lot of the time if it's a high performing culture. How do you think about getting the right people in the right seats so that you're building a high performing team as the country manager today?
Yeah, I mean, just try and hire the best people. I know that sounds cliche, but we don't rush our hiring. We obviously advertise in various channels through LinkedIn and personal connections, um, regardless of geography as well. So we have team members in both Melbourne and Sydney. We do also have a strong bias for industry knowledge. So a lot of our team are ex-hospo. Um, like we've got a guy who's run restaurants for 10 years. You know, one of our account managers before he joined Supy was running a bar. He was a venue manager for a bar, and he was literally creating his own spreadsheet and doing variance reports for running inventory. So that's been a huge bias for us for our hiring. But yeah, I mean, there's no secret sauce to it. It's, are they great people? Will they fit with the culture? Are they passionate about the industry that they work for? Um, and if so, they'll be a good fit.
So the people is one piece of the puzzle, right? Getting to the second piece of the puzzle is tooling and tech. I mean, we're both in tech.
Mm.
Where have your team members either used AI or wanted to use AI that gives them the biggest lift in productivity today?
Yeah, I mean, AI is a funny one. I often have debates with my wife about it. I even saw in a news article in the local paper in the weekend, a question was asked, in the next 5 years, do you think your job will be replaced by AI? Yes. A crazy number of people said yes. It was something like 20% of people thought this was going to be replaced by AI,
Well, if
which,
drivers are all getting replaced, like a huge, at least in the US, a huge number of people are truck drivers and Uber drivers. But I think they'll find other jobs. I think the job market is, but I cut you off. Keep going.
yeah, yeah, no, no, I agree. I mean, to me, I don't think AI will replace your job, but a person using AI will. So it's a tool, right? It's not a replacement for your job. So I mean, we use it all the time. I've tried to encourage the team to use it for everything, whether it's crafting a personalized email outreach, whether it's crafting their cold call scripts, whether it's recording their demos. So when they send their follow-up email, it has 3 pain points and 3 resolutions for Supy to solve. Um, so we use it for everything. And like to me, it's improving their productivity 1, 2, 3% a month. And if we can do that, then we're going to be beating teams and beating other businesses that don't use AI.
Definitely. And it seems where AI is used today really, really well is in the call recording and follow up space specifically. To give some context, you want to tell the audience a little bit about the sales process that your sales reps go through, what's working, what's not. I'd love to understand that because you guys are one of the fastest growing restaurant tech companies out there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for us, we have a quite a significant outbound motion, and what we track at the moment, in particular, there to see if we're performing well, we're pretty frequent with our stand-ups. So we have an outbound stand-up 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We review number of cold calls that the reps make throughout the week. We also review LinkedIn activity. You probably see we're quite active on
Yep.
LinkedIn. So we're understanding how many connections are the reps making every week, how many comments they're making on the posts of our target customers. That's super important. And even posts. So we encourage them to do their own posts because it's good for their credibility as well. It doesn't need to be a post about Supy. It could be about, we had a team member that went to New Zealand and was
Yep.
comparing the pies with Australia and New Zealand. And I think that's got nearly 400 likes. So, that's something that we encourage. Sequences is,
Use a tool to track that, or are you just are reps keeping track of themselves?
we don't, for our outbound stand-ups, we just use Google Docs, and then we have it all tracked in HubSpot. So they can see the number of cold calls they're making. We can see the number of LinkedIn messages that they're sending. And then we just review that throughout the week.
Do you guys have an in person experience? Are you guys targeting in person or is it all on the phone telesales?
No, we do have a pretty strong in-person bias as well. So one thing we feel that we do more than some of our competitors is go and meet the prospects in person. So when they want a demo online, we always push for a demo in person. So particularly Melbourne-based, if we're working with a Melbourne-based prospect, we'll go and visit their chef, we'll go and visit their CFO in person, demo at their venue. Even onboarding as well, a lot of our onboarding is done in person. So, I've got a super talented CSM at the moment who is most of this week has been on the road implementing Supy in person. And look, we're not a POS product. We don't have hardware. It's software, but we know our competitors aren't doing this. So we know we're winning business because we're willing to go to a hospitality venue and train their team in person.
So you believe that going in person is a competitive advantage, specifically because your competitors aren't doing it, number one. And then number two, is there any other benefits that it gives? Does it help, build rapport? Does it get adoption to the product better? Um, does it increase win rates? Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we in the last few months actually been offering in-person workshop to customers. I feel that people are joining Supy obviously for the product, but also to have that opportunity for us to train them in person. So I see huge value in it. And we work in hospitality, right? Like what these people do every day is they're serving other people in person. They're not you know, like a retailer who just runs an online e-commerce business, right? These are people that deal with other people and earn their living from making people's lives better when they go and have a meal on a Friday night. Um, so we should be doing the same.
Definitely. And I also think there's a level of attention. If you're able to gather them in person, you're able to make sure that they're actually listening, they're focused, because restaurant owners, restaurant operators have many different things that they do every day. And to make sure that you can grab 30 minutes and have them focused on why your specific solution is going to make their business better will allow them to make a better decision and a quicker decision. So you can either qualify it in or disqualify it out. And then from an implementation standpoint, if you're in person and you're giving the workshops and you're doing the adoption, you'll get better adoption. And those first 3 months are huge in order for them to be long-term customers with you, because they need to be using the product, daily,
Yeah.
weekly, as much as you expect them to.
Yeah. And look out, we admit it, like our product at the moment, inventory is hard. Like we don't shy away from the fact that onboarding with us could take two maybe 3 months.
Yeah,
And it's hard. And we want to do everything that we can to make them feel comfortable and make this process as easy as possible. So we just see in person as being such a competitive advantage for us at the moment.
great. One last question, and then we'll get into a quick fire round. Where do you see the hospitality and restaurant tech industry going in the next, let's say, 18 months to 2 years, as well as next, 5, 6 years?
I do think AI is going to have a lot to do with it. And, as the models start to get better and more reliable, it's going to be embedded into everything that we do. So we're going to go from this world where the technology and the data that we're putting into the system is more reactive to proactive. So like for us as a stock system or an inventory solution is, you have to put a lot of data in to get good data out. So that's the first thing. But once you've done that, well, then what? You need to do something with that data, right? We're putting lots of data into the system. So like for us specifically, we're going to be providing so much value from a proactive point of view. So, telling you how much you need to order on a certain day rather than the person just doing it to a static par level. Whether that be, the last 7 days, you've got losses on this protein product. We're telling you what the product is, what days it was, and then how to solve it. We do this already with our account managers and our CSMs who do, weekly or fortnightly follow-ups. They might notice something in the account and they'll send an email and some advice. The AI is going to do that in 6 months. And then the account manager can be just focused on their QBRs with the stores, and that can help them with strategy. So it's going to take a lot of that manual number crunching and that proactive level of accountability for the restaurants up. Definitely.
I think it's really similar to potentially like what you described to the coding space, and how it is today will be sales and maybe, and restaurant tech in like 2 years, 3 years. So instead of having to fully write all of your code, you're breaking it down, you are making it better, you are improving it, but you're just checking its work versus all building it from scratch. It'll ping you. It's like, okay, this is what you need to do today. This is where you need to, this is, the inventory you need to order. And I think all of that proactiveness will come from the products versus you having to actually do it.
And as well, I'll just add to that, it's doing multiple tasks. At the moment, it's very single task orientated. You ask it a question to do something, or you put a piece of data and you get an answer. Whereas it's going to be multi-threaded. So you're going to ask it to do something and it's going to go and do multiple things for you. Currently, in my view, that doesn't work very well. Like I've tried to use ChatGPT agent. It works okay, but sometimes it falters when it guesses or assumes to do something. Like I know there's companies out there like Sierra that are building these agents for businesses that, like I was hearing a podcast the other day where one of the founders was working with this company where the agent managed to process a shoe return for a customer. Like it literally was able to respond to the customer, ask the shoe size, get the delivery note, get them to send the shoes back, and then process the refund through the credit card service. Like that's pretty cool. If you can do that, amazing. But it's still pretty brittle to do those multi-step processes at the moment. But I think in 5 years or even a couple of years, that's going to be much more pervasive and commonplace.
Definitely. I think the multi-step agent workflows are coming and coming fast. Okay, Andy, next I want to just do a quick fire round. This will take about 1 minute. First thing that comes to your mind, I want you to answer it. Tell us about one deal you'll never forget, good or bad, and the single biggest lesson it taught you.
It was this little pharmacy actually in Auckland who had a chemist warehouse, which is a discounter open down the road. And he didn't know what to do. He was like, oh shit, do I have to just lower all my prices, race to the bottom? Or do I come up with a more service orientated strategy? And, I was just selling them a website, e-commerce, didn't really know what to say. But then I was thinking about it, just come out of university and learned about strategy. And I was thinking, how the hell is this guy going to compete with like $1 billion discounter? There's no way he's going to win. So I said, look, you just got to focus on what you do well. Why do your customers like you? Why do your customers come to you? He ended up signing the deal, which was cool. But to me, that's why sales is great. Like, it's not just about winning the deal. It's you're helping someone, you're helping like another business owner make a decision. So yeah, that was quite cool.
I was speaking to a bunch of new SDRs or aspiring SDRs, as well as founders, actually. So I had two kind of teaching sessions over the past week where that was one of the main points I brought home, because they were both around go-to-market and selling. It was like, don't actually sell, just help. If you're just there to solve problems and help the person that you're talking to, good things will come in any conversation. What's the most underrated feature in restaurant tech software today?
I think APIs. I mean, it's probably not a feature per se, but I think it's a technology that is underrated because it allows these specialized tools like we spoke about earlier to talk to each other and to go super deep rather than relying on these all-in-one solutions.
It allows for specialization and for each of the businesses to be excellent at the one thing they do. What's one sales book you think every sales rep should read?
Not so much of a sales book, but has helped me a lot in sales is Influence by Robert Cialdini. It's the psychology of persuasion. It's a pretty common book, but that's been super helpful for me.
Door knocking in the field, outdated or does it work?
I look, I do see value. I would say a previous colleague of mine who had a lot of success in outbound suggested a slightly better option to me recently was when you have, say, an in-person meeting booked in, use that as your radius point, and then after your scheduled meeting, go to 10 or 15 or 20 targeted drop-ins. And then even if you have 2 or 3 successful drop-ins, it's made that time worthwhile.
Yep, the anchor meetings are so important when doing field sales. Um, what's your favorite type of restaurant you like to sell to?
It's the ones that really obsess over their experience. And look, it doesn't just need to be a fine dining where you get this incredible food and this incredible experience and decor. It could be a QSR, a quick service restaurant. We have a customer called Zoo Street Greek that when you go into one of their stores, you feel like you're going to eat Greek food. The brandy is amazing.
Yep.
The experience, the lighting is really cool.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Um, what's my favorite restaurant at the moment? It's a good question. It's actually this sort of upper Thai fusion restaurant in my local town. I have a bit of a soft spot for a good pad Thai, and yeah, they do a killer pad Thai, and it's a guilty pleasure of mine to go down there and
Hey, it's
sit
not
down and have a
guilty.
pad Thai.
Pad Thai is incredible. Andy, this has been fantastic. Where can listeners go to find you and learn more from you?
Just my LinkedIn, you can find me. And if you're wanting to also learn more about Supy, go to our website at supy.io.
Are you hiring?
We are, we are
What are
indeed.
you hiring for?
We've got account manager roles, CSM roles, senior AE, and outbound SDRs at the moment.
Excellent. Well, Andy, thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.